for folks who need to run out or miss it. We've got quite a packed schedule today compared to previous directors meetings, so I promise I'll shut up in a second. But I wanted to open it with Amanda Johnson, who is here visiting us to talk about the university shared competencies as it relates to internships. So hi, Amanda, I'll let you take it away from here.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for having us. I'm joined by Ann Mosier as well. She is the ad hoc committee on shared competencies chair. She's also associate provost or associate professor in citizenship and civic engagement. I just gave you a huge promotion, Ann.
How about the raise that should go along with that?
Right. So we just really want to thank you all for having us on your agenda today so we could talk about the competencies. We know that it's been an extremely busy, this semester, last semester for you all. So we really appreciate the time. Chris, I have a PowerPoint that we're going to show. Can I share my screen?
There, I've granted you co-host privileges.
Thank you.
So you should be okay in a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So Ann, I'll hand it over to you.
Sure. So thank you so much for inviting us to your meeting today. We really appreciate it. Amanda, do you want to go to the next slide? So the first thing that we wanted to do was just to remind you what the 6 shared competencies are. These are our institutional learning goals that were adopted by the University Senate after a very long and drawn out process that took many years, but they were approved in December of 2018. We wanted to signal through this slide that there are actually 2 places where you can learn more about the shared competencies. Our framing language is listed on the provost's website, and that's a pretty stable place for you to find information about the shared competencies. But to learn more about the dynamic backstage project, the infrastructure that's being built to support the shared competencies, you need to go to the second link on this slide, and that's through Amanda's office, institutional effectiveness and assessment. So we wanted to make you aware of both of those locations where you could find more information about the shared competencies. Next slide, please. So there are a number of reasons why we decided to adopt the shared competencies as a set of institutional learning goals for the university. First off, we believe that by coming up with these institution-wide goals, that we'll be able to develop a common language that will help students be able to better articulate the value of a Syracuse University degree. We also think that this will promote a level of mindfulness that will have them thinking about a set of personal goals that have to do with those institutional learning goals that will set them up for success. And we believe this to be the case because of all of the research that's been done over the years about our particular 6 institutional learning goals and what either employers or graduate schools are saying that they are looking for in students that they hire or admit into their programs. So right now I'm really telling you your business, so I'll shut up about that. Another thing is that we see this as an opportunity to integrate the academic work that our students are doing into their co-curricular and extracurricular experiences in a more robust kind of way. But we also see this as an opportunity for academic programs to start breaking down some of the institutional silos that exist between them. And then finally, the last reason why we're doing this is because this is to help fulfill our middle states requirements. So next slide, please. So Amanda, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So we get the question a lot about the competencies. How do students develop these competencies? Is it just in their coursework? Is it outside? And we really see the framework of the competencies occurring in their major degree requirements. So the required aspects that are required for their major. This also encompasses the liberal art requirements that all students have to engage in to some degree based on their major. And as well as the experiences, as Anne said, both co-curricularly and extracurricularly. So, and the key here is that we're hoping that the competencies are going to help students connect their learning experiences in these three areas. And we've done a lot of work in the experiences category to really identify ways that students are learning the competencies outside the classroom, which sometimes helps students really have concrete examples of their learning when they go for job interviews or internships. And so one key partnership that we've made thus far is with CuseWorks. And I know Emily is on this call. She and her team have been a huge partner in this. Now all students who get an on-campus job, employers are identifying the shared competency that students should expect to learn in that job, as well as other professional skills. And so right then and there, our students are expecting, okay, this job opportunity is not only a way that I'm going to be earning some extra money, but it's a learning opportunity. And so hopefully they'll be connecting those aspects with what they're learning in the classroom. Other things that we've done outside the classroom to capture this experience is engaging our students even before they come to campus. So introducing them to the competencies in first year and transfer program newsletters, and then also in existing surveys that go out to employers or supervisors. So we worked with Adam and his team to look at the instrument that they send to employers for students who are engaged in a funded internship. And we were able to map on certain questions that would highlight the competencies and the demonstration of student skills. So a big part of our partnership is tapping into existing systems to connect our campus too.
So for our discussion with you all today, there really are three questions that we'd like for you to be thinking about through the rest of our presentation. And we've set aside some time at the end in order to talk about these. But we're trying to get a sense of the extent to which the shared competencies are already a part of the conversations that you're having with students. And we're not expecting that they be fully present at this point, but we need to start figuring out how to get them more integrated into everything that we do on campus. And then we're also wondering, what you're hearing from employers about our students in relation to those competency categories. And again, are there ways in which we can base more of that discussion around the competencies? And we're always looking for new ways to partner with everyone that we possibly can on campus to support students' development of the competencies. So those are the things that we kind of like to talk about at the end. But in the meantime, there are some things that we wanted to update you on about where we are in terms of implementation. So Amanda, next slide, please. So we really have been talking about bringing the shared competencies to life almost along two fundamental dimensions. We need to think about the shared competencies, first off, as learning goals that are being applied not only at the institutional level, but that we can see aspects of being echoed at the school and college level, at the department and program level, and then down into the level of courses and assignments. So obviously what we're talking about here is figuring out how to bring these things into some degree of alignment. Okay, the second one is that with the shared competencies, we're working on a scaffolding of the learning progression for each one of those competencies, where the competency is introduced, then reinforced, the student achieves some level of competency, and then in some of the competencies, they'll even achieve some level of proficiency. Now, we believe that this is only going to work if we clue students in on what we're doing. And so, you know, one of the things that has really struck me about the adoption of DegreeWorks is how much students use that software and how much we're, I think, kind of not capitalizing on the amount that they're integrating with it. We're not using that as much as we could be. And many students look upon their goal with DegreeWorks as turning that dashboard green. And we actually think DegreeWorks could be used in a way that gets them to, you know, get up to 32,000 feet and really think about the different choices that they're making when they select particular classes. So we think that reflection and mindfulness are really important elements to the shared competencies as an aligned set of learning goals that have this scaffolded structure where students are improving as they move throughout their curriculum at the university. So next slide, please. So Amanda, do you want to talk about this one?
Sure. So as Anne said, you know, with this integrated model, we have to show how everything is integrated into our campus on the academic side, co-curricular, and our functional areas. So we know in our, first we're starting with the academic side in terms of making sure that our academic programs, and we've already started this first phase, this phase one of curriculum mapping, where our programs look at their learning objectives and they find where in their curriculum are those learning goals introduced, practiced, and fully realized. Then using that as a base for making sure that they're aligning their program learning outcomes with the competencies. And that's phase two of this project. And our academic programs are currently involved in that process right now. We're about 70% completed on that. We were supposed to be 100% completed in May, but we got thrown, you know, a wrench in that plan. And so we've been a little flexible with this timeline. Phase 3 and phase 4 of the project aren't yet implemented yet, but we like to tell people where we're going with this. And I think phase 3 is going to be really interesting for our campus because we're going to have program faculty start to tag courses based on the competencies. So students and advisors would be able to search the catalog. They would also be able to, when they're enrolling in courses, search by competency to find a list of courses that might correspond to a competency. That's particularly important when our students are trying to identify liberal art courses that they want to engage in. So they're not just thinking about, okay, what's going to be an easy A or something to check that box, but what's something that I really want to develop more competency in. And we are also going to be transferring that same tagging process to co-curricular endeavors. So we've already started that with CuseWorks. And now we're going to be rolling out a framework for all our co-curricular units to also tag different initiatives. So students could also find opportunities outside the classroom that are tagged with this certain designation. And then phase 4 is really about identifying signature assignments where students identify and develop these competencies that we would be used to really assess their development.
So one of the frequently asked questions that has come up when we've given a variant of this particular presentation is, well, how does all of this fit together in relation to some of the other big initiatives that are taking place on campus. And so Jerry and Amanda and I, over the last year, have given this presentation about 110 times. And so we thought we need to come up with a slide that shows this. So you can think of this as being a sandwich, where the stuff that's in the middle of the sandwich that includes the liberal arts core requirements and extracurricular and curricular participation and the idea courses, that piece, those are the experiences that our students are having on campus. And those, again, include academic experiences, co-curricular experiences, and extracurriculars. The stuff at the top and the stuff at the bottom, that has to do with how the competencies are being scaffolded over their 4 years at the university. We also are sort of working on a variant of this that incorporates a 5th year, because there are a number of students on campus who are involved in 5-year programs. But what we're really concerned about with our project is figuring out ways of introducing our 1st-year students to the competencies as a framework, and also getting a sense of what are they coming to us with, you know, in terms of baseline knowledge in these competencies. And so we're really going to be relying on the 1st-year seminar as a way for us to do that kind of temperature checking. Then during the 2nd year, we will be looking for signs that they are developing in their knowledge of each of the specific competencies. The junior year is particularly important because that is when we are going to be looking to see the degree to which they've actually achieved competency. And then during the 4th year, by looking at the various capstone experiences and the leadership roles they've had in their extracurricular involvements, we'll be able to get a sense of how far have they pushed their understanding, their knowledge, their skill sets that are associated with the competencies. How proficient are they? And so that's sort of how this is being scaffolded, and how a lot of the other big initiatives that are taking place on campus right now come together to support this project. So Amanda, next slide, please. So take it away.
Yeah, so that is our, presentation that we had. And now we really want to just hear from you in terms of, do the competencies resonate with the work and conversations that you're already having? And you might not be using that language of shared competencies, but talking about those skills with students, as well as what do you hear from employers and potential opportunities to partner. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second so I can see everybody. Thanks.
I don't mind starting. I feel like I'm the low-hanging fruit, being from the liberal arts college. So certainly we believe this and we practice this day in and day out. I think with our advising model being an integration between academic and career advising, this becomes that much more important for us. So I really love the idea of the course tagging. I think our students oftentimes will need to have additional support in some of these soft skills, competencies, so to speak, and for them to have the ease of trying to select something that the college has or that the university has deemed appropriate for that particular competency will be extremely helpful for us in advising and for the students, of course, as well. So I'm really excited about that. I think the piece about reflection is so important because, we often laugh and say our mission is to save the liberal arts degree, because in some circles it isn't taken necessarily as seriously, so to speak. And we hear it from employers all of the time, to your next bullet, about how important those competencies are, and how sometimes it's not the specific major that matters, but it's a student's ability to come in and think critically or think globally, share perspectives, all of the things that we talk about. And so I feel that this is something that is going to be so important for the reflection piece, because we'll say often the employers are looking for this. It is your job to create your story, to be able to articulate how you have gotten to develop these specific skills and how it applies to your success within their organization. So all of this resonates with me a lot. I think we're doing much of this, and I think if we partner, we can do so many things together. And I believe, I just want to turn it to Matt really quickly. His position is working with alumni, and to just share some of the things that they say, and really just figuring out a way how we can connect this and continue to, we say, we'll say things to students until we're blue in the face, right? We all say that, but when they hear it from alumni or they hear it from outside of our department, it resonates. But to say that too, I think that advisor relationship is so critical. The students really do trust their advisors. So to hear things from them as well is important. So Matt, anything you want to add from the alumni side? Employers, really.
Only that it's really inevitable. Every time a student talks to an alum, the alum says, yeah, you've got your bio degree, or yeah, you've got your psychology degree, but you really got to be able to communicate with people, or you've really got to understand it doesn't matter what your research is in, you just need to know how to be able to research. So that's where I just see this really lining up with the advice we're getting directly from alumni, which crosses over into the employer territory a bit as well.
Thank you. That's really helpful to hear. And that's sort of been my experience. I'm the chair of citizenship and civic engagement. And I don't know if you're all aware, but that's a double major program. So all of our students have a major in CCE, but they also have a major from somewhere else on campus. And I'm just absolutely struck by the degree of variability with which our students are able to articulate the value of that other degree. And there are some programs that do a really great job at promoting that level of mindfulness where the students are able to tell a great story about not only the curriculum that they've been through, they've got a sense of its design, but they can also tell stories about what they got out of that. In terms of, different projects that they've done. And then there are other students that, you'll ask them about that other major, and it's like they're deer in the headlights. And that is not good, because they're going to be expected in job interviews to be able to talk about these things. And moreover, in law school and grad school applications, those personal narratives, those are the kinds of stories that they are looking for. And so we see this as an opportunity to be able to better integrate the pieces of a student's experience here and to help them better see the connections, so they'll be able to come up with their own narrative, their own personal story about their time here at SU and how that translates into a set of skills.
And Kristen and Matt, thanks for sharing that, because right before I'm just coming back from maternity leave, and right before I left, we had a meeting with Arts and Sciences, and they showed us, how you measure that, and it's very exciting, like all of the work that you all are doing to capture student learning in all of the career and advising events and things like that. I have to get back into that matrix that Steve Shaflin showed me.
It's great. And I really commend the university for taking this so seriously, because it's a value added to the Syracuse University degree, and it's what the employers are looking for. And for us to be able to build that value in a tuition that isn't inexpensive, right? Certainly helps our students continue on if that's what they choose for grad school, PhD programs, but also to become gainfully employed. It's not mutually exclusive, right? A good education and learning how to think is not mutually exclusive of getting a job. So I really appreciate the fact that the university takes that seriously. And this is exactly what I believe our students need to help differentiate themselves from their competition.
So other suggestions, other things that we might be doing to better integrate the competencies into the work that you do. We're always looking for feedback about how we're communicating this. If there were things that we said that were confusing, we're also always looking for buried mines, I guess. We're looking for landmines, things that could get in the way. So any ideas on any of those things? Any advice that you can give us? You guys are all in the business of giving advice. We need advice.
I have
Okay.
I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's good enough to be advice. Adjunct faculty and professors of practice are super helpful in with these competencies, because they're out there in the field. They are they're employed or they're full-time and they're teaching part-time. And I think, and you may have already done this, but I would highly recommend you reach out to part-time instructors, adjuncts, and professors of practice, just to try to tap into those specialties a little bit more.
Can you think of who we should be talking to? What would be a good inroad?
So I'm at the iSchool. So the iSchool, I know our professors of practice, they work at IBM full time, or they run nonprofits, and then they also teach. So I know just from that perspective, I think that if you go to the department chairs and you ask those folks, I mean, obviously getting an adjunct faculty member to give up a few minutes of their time is a pretty big deal. Too, you may have to bribe them a little bit with coffee or beer. But I would go straight to the department chairs and say, and I know Jerry's got connections. So have him go to the department chairs and say, hey, what kind of professors of practice? I know Newhouse especially, it's got some standout professors of practice that are they're really tapped into the industry and with employers that I know even some employer relations directors can't get a hold of. So I would be happy to give you from the iSchool perspective after this conversation to give you a follow-up. I know VPA's also got some.
Absolutely, we would love that.
Awesome.
One of the other suggestions that was made to us over the summer is that we also think about how do we get our graduate assistants involved in this, because many times they're able to make an even tighter bond because they're closer in age and they've also been through that process of graduating and taking the next step. And that's helpful. So we've been talking with Peter Vanable and with Glenn about how do we do this. So that's another aspect of this. But I think that's a really great suggestion about adjunct faculty and professors of practice, and we will explore that in more detail. So thank you. That is fabulous. That's the kind of feedback we're really looking for. So Chris, yay.
Well, and as you all are I mean this past couple of months have been very survival mode, and so when you all have time to reflect and kind of even implement any curricula that you have with students or connections that you have in employers, if you think, hey, this would connect with that shared competency initiative, or I'm asking employers for feedback on our students, these folks may want to see this. We would love to have those kind of conversations. Something that we really want to avoid is, if certain avenues are already asking for feedback from employers, we don't want to dovetail on top of that. We would rather integrate with work and relationships that already exist. So if you ever are surveying folks or students or running focus groups with students at all or alumni, please keep us in mind, because we would definitely love to learn more about the work that you're doing and how these initiatives might integrate with each other.
And to that end, one other thing that we've developed as part of this process is a senior year reflection that we have our graduating seniors take, where we ask them to reflect on the competencies. And we've just gone through a year of pilot testing. And the results have been very promising. And so we're going to be using that again this year. We want to repeat it a couple of years before we really start making some concrete observations, but this might be information that would be really helpful to all of you. So once we're feeling more confident about the results, we'll start to share that with you as well.
Thank you very much, Amanda and Anne, for blessing us with your presence today and sharing your very colorful PowerPoint slide deck. I'm slightly jealous that you're so talented at doing really nice PowerPoint slides. So thank you very much. You are free to leave now if you'd like
All
to.
right. Thank you
You can
so much,
stay if you want,
everybody.
but
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
thank you.
All right.
All right. Up next, we have Emily Ziprich, and she is here to talk about student employment experimental federal work study funds. And I will hand over the baton to you, Emily.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I work in the Student Employment Office. I'm the Assistant Director. So most of you probably know Camille. I know some of you, but this is part of my job. So I'm going to be brief. I'll probably be only 5 minutes. So we put in an application with the feds to receive experimental work, federal work study funds, and we received them. So what that means is with this experimental funding is that we'll be able to work with private businesses that can hire our students and that can pay them and that we would reimburse them. In the past, it's only been for nonprofit organizations. So this opens up a lot of doors for our students as well as partnerships with organizations in the community and even in other communities. So the hope of this experiment is that it will enhance a student's learning experience. In addition, that it will improve retention, it will improve graduation rates, and that it will actually prepare them for employment. So by our students being able to be hired by these organizations and using their work study, it's kind of a win-win. So currently our split, so and many of you may know this because you have your own student employees, it just increased. So a student's federal work study actually covers 70% of their gross wages, and the employer is only on the hook for 30%. In the past, it's been 50-50, and as recent as November 1st, it was 60-40. So it is 70-30, which is great. So we did get awarded the funding for the current year, but we decided along with financial aid and with Ryan Williams that we are going to postpone because it's already November to get this up and running and to be able to connect with employers. We thought that it would be best to take a little bit more time and push this off until the next academic year. So that is our plan. So I'm here basically to let you know what our plan is and to connect with you because you have those connections with these businesses and organizations. And I know not all of them are able to or willing to pay at all, but by, maybe we'll, get 10 or maybe we'll get 15 and it's still something. And it really helps those students who are awarded work study, who are likely our needier students and actually utilizing their federal work study. And they may be students that are from lower income areas where this experience could be life-changing. So that is my very, very brief, 2-minute spiel on this. I do have a pamphlet and I can email that to either Adam or Chris. And then it has my contact information. So I'd be happy to meet with you individually on Zoom and we could chat about this more. But this is kind of my plea for help in connecting to businesses and organizations that you are very well connected to. So does anybody have any questions or comments?
Do they have to be local or can they be virtual?
Yep. It gets a little trickier if it's like an international student in another country, but I'm not going to worry about that right now.
Right.
So my answer is yes, we can do it that way. So it opens it up even more.
Thank you.
Oh, this is great news. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's really exciting. glad that we were chosen, but I'm also glad that we're waiting so that we can implement it a little bit better, kind of get through the next couple of months. All right, well, if that's it, then
I
yeah,
just
go
have a
ahead.
quick question. So the materials that you have, are they student focused materials or are they for
Nope,
us?
it's for that you could, if it's really for employers or these organizations that you could give to them, but I could talk with you, you know, off of Zoom more about the details. There are a lot of details and there are a lot of unknowns, but we're learning more and more.
So if we have students and employers, we just direct them right to you.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll handle everything out of our office. So you don't have to do anything
Okay.
except connect me, basically.
Okay.
I don't, you know, I just need your connection and then I'll do all of the work. So I would handle, we'll have a contract that the employers will sign. And then I handle all of the behind the scenes with the business organization getting reimbursed. So I do that right now. We only have a couple and they're nonprofits, and I handle the whole reimbursement process. So no, I'm not adding work to you other than asking for your connections.
All right. Either way, it's a great opportunity. And the companies can be for profit as well.
Yeah, that's what the
That's
6-year medical
huge.
funding is.
I mean, because
In the
it was always
past,
it was
it's
always
only been,
nonprofit before, right?
yeah, which you know, it was great, but I think this opens up the door to a lot more connections, and hopefully businesses and organizations will want to jump on board to establish a partnership with us, especially with that split. Maybe it would entice some of them to be able to pay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
The split could change next year. It's actually something that the university decides, but so I don't know if it will change. It definitely wouldn't go below 50-50, I doubt, especially because we were 60-40 prior to November 1st. So hopefully it will stay at 70-30 because I think that's a good recruiting tool.
Right. No. And then is there like a cap? I thought like some like you get awarded, right? And like there's a cap to how much you can make, right? Is that still the case?
So I'm going to put my financial aid hat on. I actually used to work in financial aid, which is kind of nice. So students are typically awarded their financial aid package in the summer. If they're eligible for federal work study, we typically award them $3,200. That's just an amount set by the university, like their financial aid package. It doesn't, we could award $5,000, we could award $1,000. It's just kind of fits within their need. So many students don't actually use the full 3,200.
Right.
And so we don't usually have an issue, but sometimes there are students that get close to that. Maybe, you know, I'm trying to think of students where we see it often, maybe in the library or other places. So they used to come into the financial aid office and ask if we could increase their federal work study award. So the financial aid is on board with that as well, knowing that we will probably have students that will see if it can be increased.
Okay.
And in many cases it can. I mean, when I worked there, if there was room to increase it, I would.
Yeah.
So, and we were even talking about working with financial aid and changing, like say we have a student sign on for this, like increasing their federal work study award to be more than the 3,200 that they normally award, to kind of entice students, maybe to ask more questions about it. So that's in the works as well.
Awesome. Well, keep us in the loop.
Awesome.
Seems
I
very
will.
exciting.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'll connect with Adam and Chris and I'll send along that information, but I'd love to connect with all of you more. But I'll leave you to your meeting.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Not that it's Friday yet, but it's close enough. Adam, you're up next. Take it away.
Thanks, Chris. I'm going to keep this really quick. We're a semester into VMOC. We're just under 2,000 students active in the platform right now. Positive progression, though we've kind of hit a stalemate in the past about, let's say, 3 weeks with student usership in terms of the average time spent. But I think that's kind of anticipated at this point in time. Some real quick tweaks that VMOC has made improvements upon, which I think is going to be extremely helpful for all of us when we are working with the students, is they've adjusted the number of words required for each specific section. So there are no longer minimums or maximums to any specific section. I know we at least saw a few hiccups with students asking our career exploration specialists on why do I need to have a minimum amount of characters, or why can't I add this so-and-so to a specific section. This has now been taken out, so it's been implemented for all benchmarks for all the schools and colleges. They've also provided a leadership and activities section in the dropdown that now appears when clicking on extracurriculars. That wasn't there. I did not even think about that, to be honest with you, nor did they even highlight it. I actually have to give a lot of credit to Chris from ECS. He was the one that uncovered that through a student conversation. So now they have made that across the board part of all benchmarks. They've also added a prompt before rescoring a resume. So this will now inform any of the students if the resume content is exceeding the 1-page limit. This functionality has been embedded now for all the benchmarks, except for the schools and colleges that have specifically put in place that there is a 2-page option. So more towards either the graduate side or some programs at the senior level that are allowing for that 2-page option. This is nice, giving those students kind of that heads up flag beforehand, so they can kind of cap themselves with making sure that they're not adding that additional bullet point, or they can maybe trim up an additional area. They've also provided a PDF preview, which I personally love for all of our benchmarks. This will allow the students to use and actively monitor the length of their resume before having to download it ahead of time, which will also help out in the back end for having to go in and be capped out with the amount of times that they can download and upload throughout an academic year. One new feature that VMOC is very excited about, I'm actually working with Kristen over at architecture on this, is they've told us that now they're starting to beta test and develop a multi-column template within the Smart Editor. So that was not there before. So for the more creative resumes, Newhouse, VPA, architecture, I know this is very consistent. This was not something that we could have done back in the summertime, August and September. Kristen provided 2 resumes for us to beta test. With them, I'm waiting for additional feedback, but if everything goes as planned over the winter time, if any of the schools and colleges want to be uploading templates that accommodate the multi-column landscape, we will have that option. That's everything I had on VMOC. I just wanted to give that quick 2 cents.
Thank you very much, Adam, for your tireless work on VMOC. Bobby, you have an event that you'd like to share with us.
Yes, thank you, Chris, for letting me put this out there. But I'm part of a group. It's called the Central New York Career Development Association, and it's made up of primarily schools of education. And it's the career services reps from all of those schools. And we have a subcommittee in charge of professional development. They're setting up some brown bags and have opened it up to each of our colleagues from career offices across our campuses. So Christopher was kind enough to share all of the links right in the email. There's a little bit of homework to do ahead of the brown bag. But yeah, so if anyone is interested in participating in that conversation, you are invited to do so. And if you like, when we have other brown bags in the future, I can share those out too. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bobby. You had me at homework. Sign me up. No, thank you very much. We appreciate that. So last on our agenda, we've got a good 12 minutes to run wild with this topic. It is an open discussion about spring career fair. I know that it's been a hot button issue at the iSchool, just because we're getting ready to organize. First of all, it's like, what's going on with the spring, right? Like, are we going to be on campus? Whatever. I guess we have to plan for high flex for now. But as we're starting to put together our spring programming, and we thought it would be fruitful to just have a nice open dialogue about plans for spring career fairs. So with that, I'll just hand it over to anyone who wants to speak.
I don't know much. I had a brief conversation with Dan McSweeney earlier this week because I was asking for a status update. I'm kind of letting him run wild with this and trying to take a backseat as much as possible. From my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, there were conversations about a potential all major fair later into the spring. But I knew some of the individual schools were still looking at the February timeframe to have industry or sector specific fairs. Like I said, correct me if I'm incorrect with that.
No, that's right, Adam. I was in that conversation. Sarah actually pulled a group together. So I believe the STEM fair, the business fair, and the Newhouse diversity event are still planned for February. That the more inclusive general fair that Dan would head up was slated more for the April timeframe. I don't know that we then went to, because we had talked previously about, do we still want to do like a May New York City, probably virtual fair? And we had thought we wanted to do that, but that conversation didn't happen after that April timeframe was decided. So you're spot on from what I recall. Certainly others on the meeting, please share as well.
And Adam, if you have any insight, wink, wink, about what's going on with the spring, I don't know. This is being recorded, but I can stop the recording if you need me to.
No, it's honestly, it's still up in the air. I sat in a meeting yesterday and then retention and council again this morning. I think there's so many question marks and balls up in the air that we're not going to get a clear sense till after the Thanksgiving timeframe. Please don't repeat. I know this will be recorded, but there is a possibility that first week of February could be in play as the start of the semester, giving us an additional amount of time to be properly planning. But again, that could alter by 2:30 in 10 minutes.
I mean, I think it's safe to say, regardless of what the student experience looks like, the likelihood of being able to welcome employers in person or that their companies will support that is probably not going to happen. So we're just planning 100% virtual again and going from there, so that at least there's one known in the scenarios, controlling what we can.
Yeah,
Kind of a topic. Well, go ahead, Jen.
No, I mean, just from the updates that I'm in with my Caney, there's been no changes yet. So like you said, Adam, no changes yet. A lot to unfold still, but the last I heard was, residential campus in the spring. So we'll see.
Thinking about us being virtual, most likely all of our departments will be. I know my team, we've started to talk a little bit about offering alternate evening times for student appointments / drop-ins. We're going to pilot something in the springtime, maybe once, twice a week, doing an hour and a half to 2 hours, either from 6 to 8 or 6:30 to 8, something along those lines. And I thought it was a good idea. We've been getting some positive feedback from the students that we've been asking about this. So I want to throw that suggestion out there. I wasn't sure if this is something that your teams have been thinking about or already started to implement, but that's something that we're going to be exploring for the springtime.
Yeah, we've been doing that this semester. We've been offering evening hours on Mondays and Wednesdays, and Wednesdays in particular are always booked, and we do them 5 to 8. So we get a lot of students that seem to be available during that time. Plus, it also works with us because we have so many students in China right now. So the time differential works that they can get up a little bit early and they're willing to be on at 7 a.m. their time in order to be able to talk to us. So it's worked well so far for us.
That's good to know. Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah.
One of the things we've done, we have some peer advisors, and they in particular have been offering evening hours and flex hours, and that seems to have gone well too.
Yeah, for me, I'm just gonna do, to you guys' points, it's been difficult to try to provide programming when everyone's in class, seems like all the time, right? So I have some programs lined up for January, considering January is so long, and I'm kind of banking on people are going to get a little bored and a little itchy there. So I got some programs teed up for January to just trying to get ahead of the need.
Yeah, we're doing that as well. We have a bunch of alumni conversations scheduled throughout January that the dean is actually hosting to try to keep the students engaged, and they're remote. They can log on anywhere. So
we're actually rolling out a program today in collaboration with some of our faculty who volunteered. We had, like everybody, it was a big hit for students' internships over the summer. So we are giving them a structured way to do something on their own under school guidance. So it gives it a little bit more weight on their resume. And basically students will sign up with the project idea of their choice and write a SMART goal, what they're going to accomplish, give a sense of the timeline, and then we connect them with a faculty member who's volunteered, who's relevant, to whatever project they're doing. And that faculty member has signed on to meet with them at least 3 times in some way, shape, or form over winter break to give guidance and feedback. So that's something that students will be working on at least. We were like, this break is so long and they're so antsy about, getting the most out of it. So that's what we've got going on for January. But I just wanted to throw out there, we are, like Kara said, doing our diversity fair on February 19th. And since Dan's eyeing dates in April, we have the 15th and 16th set aside. If we go virtual, it's only gonna be one day, but we're trying to be hopeful and optimistic that maybe we could do something in person in April. So that's why we have 2 days set aside, but I just wanted to kind of put those on everyone's radar as what we're looking at. So.
Kelly, that wintertime project sounds fascinating. And the Clements Award, we kind of recrafted it to its original nature. And it's more based around creativity. It's more based around the kind of exploratory process of crafting an internship to your potential career aspirations. So if there are any students that want to take it to the next step and would need assistance with funding for that type of opportunity, that could be a nice parallel to look at.
Do you know offhand what your deadline is to submit for that?
Deadline, I believe, is end of January.
Oh.
Sorry, take it back. It's February 4th.
What are you saying when you take it to the next level? Do you mean like extend it past winter break, or if they want to do something bigger over break, they would be able to get that award in time?
Post February.
Keep it going post. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, everyone. I think we're done.
Can I just say one?
Oh, never mind. We're not done. Sorry.
I feel like I apologize. We've made great strides in the past month and change. I believe it was October 5th. We only were tracking at 21% knowledge of this 2020 class. We're at 50.3 as of this morning. So strides, but I'm starting to feel a little anxious in the next 2 months. I know this year is going to be a lot different than what we've seen in the past. The starting salaries are not going to be there. Potential students still seeking and not seeking are going to be a lot higher than it's traditionally been. But that at least that 50% knowledge is, I think, a positive piece to be looking at, but the response rate number is far lower if we're tracking year over year. We've seen a big boost from one, we got information from IR on those students that matriculated from an undergrad program into a graduate program and took advantage of that Forever Orange scholarship. I believe close to 600 students took advantage of that in some way, shape, or form. So that right there boosted at least a 12% piece of this jump. But I've been doing so much LinkedIn scraping. Same thing with Kate Mercer on my team. I've had her, so I have to do a bunch of stuff. But I'm hoping in the next 2 months now that when things kind of start slowing down for us, that I didn't know if the schools and colleges started to think about phone calls, emails, anything we can be doing at this point in time. And please let me know where I can come in and be helping in any way, shape, or form. I'm more than happy to jump in, have conversations on how we can be dividing lists and just be doing concentrated outreach.
All right, anything else?
I do.
Jen, take it away.
Two small things. I think everyone's seen the internship award for undergraduate student veterans that was launched 2 weeks ago. It was on SU News. It's on Handshake. Students can apply through Handshake, and we have about $30,000 that we can in total in the kitty that we can disperse to our student veterans. The cap for requests are $5,000, and the funds can be used for credit and or living expenses. But again, who's traveling? I don't know, but hoping to get some interested students there. The idea is that we want the student veterans to be student veterans are sort of in a pickle when it comes to their ability to do internships, because they need to continue. There's this perception that they need to continue with the post 9/11 GI Bill in order to keep their stipend coming in and their housing allowance to come in. And so more often than not, they register for summer classes so they can keep a pipeline of funds to support their living expenses. And we want to try to eliminate that barrier and provide financial support so that they can do the internships and not feel like they have to take classes over the summer in order to get that income to come in. So that's there, up and live. Please, if you have any student veterans, please encourage them to apply. The second thing is I have a new product that I've in contract with. It's in the bottom of my signature block. It's called Pure Post. Long and short of it, what this is going to do for our student veterans is that if they put their MOS in, their military occupation, their years in which they did it in the rank, it's going to populate the basically will build them a resume, but the bullets are already going to be in the civilian speak. So what happens is usually if you look up an MOS, a military occupation skill, it's in the civilian language, or not civilian, it's in the military language. And so this company has taken every MOS for every branch at every rank and itemized it or evaluated it for the civilian equivalent of that job. It literally will take a student veteran 5 to 10 minutes to do a complete resume off of this program. We'll be doing a webinar the first week of school because I want them to use this so it's ready for when they have career week, right? So I wanted them to have that webinar. But in January, we're going to have some lead ups in there, but I'll be happy to send you information on that. And certainly you can join in. They've actually expanded the product. Pure Post has actually expanded the positions from military to civilian as well. They've contracted with the entire University of Texas school system, and now they have civilian jobs. So a student could just put in, I'm a lifeguard or whatever, and it's going to self-populate the bullets. They would just need to go in and maybe put in quantifiables and maybe slightly customize it, but it completely fills it out for them. And they have also contracted with all the 2-year colleges in California, and California is the largest veteran population in the country, in schools and colleges as well. So it's a great product for us to get involved in, and would love to have you guys check it out. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Send it our way.
Send it your way.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you so much.
No, it's pretty cool. Wait until you guys see it. It's bad.
Before I say happy Thanksgiving to everyone, I just want to wish Mary Kay again a speedy recovery. We're thinking about you and rooting for you. So take care.
Thank you all.
Good luck. Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving, everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you guys soon. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.